There's a stretch of desert where lost travelers swear they're making progress, only to find their footprints looping right back to where they started. It's not the desert that's tricky, it's their inner compass. And here's the thing. Most of us live our entire lives exactly like that. You're not stuck, you're repeating. Every morning, you wake up in the same field of probability, collapse the same waves, replay the same emotions, and attract the same timelines, and call it normal. But what if normal is just familiar? What if the reason you haven't broken through isn't because you lack potential, but because your energy is still tuned to your past, and you expect the future to respond? Change doesn't come when you push harder. It comes when you're no longer compatible with your old patterns, so incompatible that the field has no choice but to deliver something entirely new. Here's the paradox. Trying harder often keeps you in the same loop. Effort from fear, doubt, or lack doesn't break cycles. It reinforces them. It's like running on a treadmill while wearing VR goggles, thinking you're sprinting toward your dreams, but the floor isn't moving. Now take a breath. Check in with your body. A tight chest? A restless stomach? That's not random. That's your nervous system signaling you're in the loop. Because this isn't just a mindset issue, it's a bioenergetic program. Every repeated thought, recycled emotion, and unconsciously adopted belief creates chemical patterns, neural pathways, and electromagnetic signatures. These signatures feed the quantum field instructions to repeat this reality again and again. Think about it. In quantum physics, particles exist as probability waves until observed. Now imagine observing your life through fear, trauma, or past identity filters. What kind of reality are you collapsing every day? Exactly, the same one. Your brain, the ultimate prediction machine, doesn't show you what's possible. It shows you what's likely, what you've already experienced, what matches your past. And that's why some people feel stuck in different versions of the same year for decades. The kicker? The loop pretends to be progress. You change jobs, but the feeling of being undervalued stays. You enter new relationships, but old patterns resurface. You move cities, but chaos follows, because your frequency always travels with you. The universe doesn't respond to your fantasies. It responds to your frequency. Here's the twist. The loop doesn't break when you try harder. It breaks when you see it for what it is. That instant, where you catch yourself mid-pattern without reacting, is a quantum rupture, a vibrational crack. And in that crack, new timelines suddenly become available. Most people miss it. They try to fix life while broadcasting the same energy that created the problem. They visualize abundance while radiating fear. They journal, affirm, and imagine. Yet the reality stays the same. That's the invisible wall, the feedback loop telling the field, nothing's changed, so why should reality? Let me tell you about a woman who did everything right. She journaled, visualized, repeated affirmations until her throat burned. And still, nothing shifted. One day, she stopped. No journaling, no affirmations, no mental gymnastics. She just sat in silence. And for the first time, she noticed how much of her life had been controlled by a part of her that was terrified of stillness. That's when the tears finally surfaced. That's when her body unclenched. And in that softness, something shifted. She didn't manifest anything the next day. She collapsed a loop that had been running for decades. And that collapse created the space for something entirely new to enter. So let me ask you this. What if your biggest breakthrough isn't something you add, but something you stop repeating? Hold that question, because in the next chapter, we're going straight to the root, where those loops actually live, why they regenerate, and how to rewrite them from the source. Not in the mind, in the field. There's a blueprint underneath your thoughts, a silent code, not printed in your DNA, but held in something even more fluid, the field. And no, this isn't metaphor or spiritual poetry. It's the measurable, observable quantum field that saturates everything, including you. Most people have no idea that their entire life, their patterns, relationships, finances, health, isn't being shaped by what they consciously want, but by the vibrational blueprint they've unknowingly uploaded into this field. Picture walking through a hall of mirrors, except these mirrors don't reflect your face. They reflect your emotional state, your subconscious programming, your dominant frequency. Every event in your life is just one of those mirrors bouncing back what you've been silently broadcasting. Different thinkers describe this in different ways. Bruce Lipton talks about the biology of belief. Amit Goswami calls it the primacy of consciousness. Joe Dispenza frames it as reconditioning the body to a new mind. But they're all pointing to one truth. Life doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you expect. And those expectations are encoded in the field. Now we go even deeper. Every cell in your body communicates electrically, and your heart generates the strongest electromagnetic field of all, strong enough to broadcast emotional information into the space around you. That's not philosophy. That's measurable science. Heart math has shown that your heart's rhythm influences your brain, your nervous system, and even the way you interact with the environment. So ask yourself, what is your heart broadcasting the moment you wake up? Because here's the hidden mechanism. The field records your emotional states, especially the ones loaded with charge, fear, grief, shame, longing, resentment. With repetition, those states become stable vibrational signatures, and once they stabilize, they turn into loops, programs, autopilot scripts that keep drawing similar events into your life. Not because you're doomed, because the field is simply following your last clear set of emotional instructions. But where did those instructions come from? To answer that, we have to go back, way back. From the last trimester in the womb until around age 7, your brain operates in theta waves, the same brain state used in hypnosis. During those years, you weren't reasoning or evaluating. You were absorbing. You soaked up emotional atmospheres, belief systems, and energetic patterns from your parents, caretakers, and environment. That became your first imprint. And once that imprint settled, your subconscious began projecting it outward while the field dutifully reflected it back. So now, as an adult with dreams of freedom, love, or abundance, you might be operating on a blueprint that says, love leads to pain. Money comes with sacrifice. I have to earn my worth. If that's the signature your field is tuned to, guess what it mirrors? Not your affirmations, your vibration. Because the field doesn't hear words. It reads coherence. It registers frequency. This is why affirmations often fall flat. Not because they're useless, but because they're energetically inconsistent. You say, I am enough, while your body screams, I'm terrified. That mismatch creates static, and static can't collapse new waves into reality. But here's the opening, the doorway. The field isn't rigid. It's responsive. It's alive. It's waiting. And once you shift your vibration at the source, the entire mirror changes. Think of your life like a song stuck on repeat. You're tired of the verse, tired of the chorus. You try changing the lyrics, but the melody stays the same. Why? Because the frequency of the track hasn't changed. To create a new song, you have to go back to the mixing board, to the bass frequencies, and rewrite the energy that built it. That's the heart of this work. It's not about fixing symptoms. It's about reprogramming the frequency that keeps creating them. Joe Dispenza simplifies it beautifully. If your personal reality reflects your personality, then changing your life means changing your personality. Your thoughts, emotions, behaviors, and above all, your energetic signature. That's not a motivational slogan. That's quantum mechanics. The observer, your awareness, collapses reality, not through thought alone, but through emotionally charged observation. And now, we're about to step into the shadows, because this is where dark psychology enters the conversation. In reverse, most people were programmed into fear, shame, guilt, and limitation without ever realizing it. They were caught in loops, reinforced unconsciously by emotional patterns and the environment around them. But what if you could reverse engineer that? What if you could intentionally charge your body with elevated states, not fake smiles, not forced positivity, but real embodied gratitude, heightened presence, and a deep, unshakable sense of enoughness? When you do that, you don't force change. You rewrite the field with coherence. Coherence is the secret language of the quantum field. Incoherence, no matter how polished it looks as hustle, grind, or mindset, is still a repellent signal. So what's next? In the following chapter, we'll go deeper into the observer effect, the way your very attention determines what manifests. Observing through old trauma keeps collapsing the same version of reality again and again. But what if you could observe differently? What if your attention could become laser-focused, collapsing new potential into form? It's not just possible, it's scientific. What you observe becomes real, not because reality is waiting for you to notice it, but because observation is participatory. Your gaze doesn't simply register the world, it builds it. This is not poetic metaphor, this is quantum physics. According to the observer effect, particles, the building blocks of everything, exist as probabilities until they are observed. The moment they're observed, they collapse into a fixed state. Now apply that to your life. Each morning, you wake up and observe the world, and you collapse it, not through mere awareness, but through thought, emotion, and expectation. Then you wonder why nothing ever seems to change. Here's the trap. You're not just observing the world, you're observing it through a lens. And that lens was installed long before you even knew you were looking through it. Your attention is like a spotlight. Wherever it falls, energy flows. But it's never neutral. Every glance, every thought carries your frequency. If you look at your bank account through scarcity, you aren't just noticing low numbers. You're feeding the field with scarcity, reinforcing the very outcome you want to avoid. You're not simply seeing what is, you're projecting what has been. Every fear-laden thought, every anxious worry, every doubting analysis acts like a quantum command. More of this, please. Pause and feel that. This is subtle and dangerous. The reason change feels impossible isn't laziness, brokenness, or lack of discipline. It's a feedback loop. Your inner state shapes perception, and perception reinforces your inner state. It's a quantum echo chamber. You feel insecure, so rejection appears. You feel unworthy, so belittlement shows up. You expect delay, so time stretches where it shouldn't. The cruel twist? Each of these moments feels like evidence, but the evidence exists only because of the frequency you're collapsing into reality. This is the observer trap, and it runs deeper than most realize. Every day, your attention is hijacked by unresolved trauma, cultural programming, digital noise, and internal narratives that aren't even yours. Every attempt to focus is subtly pulled back into the familiar loop. Your nervous system resists new frequencies, not because they're wrong, but because they're unknown. And to survival-minded parts of your brain, the unknown feels like death. This is why you can visualize the life you want and still end up manifesting the old. Attention might be forward, but frequency is still backward. Think of it this way. You're a painter. Each morning, you sit at a fresh canvas, brushes in hand, colors at the ready, vision in mind. But there's a fogged glass between you and the canvas. Unseen, your hands trace the same old outlines, day after day, because that's all you can see. The fog is your subconscious. The outline is your vibrational history. And the painting, that's your life stuck in repetition. Here's the key insight. Attention is not just a spotlight, it's a scalpel. Where you place it and how literally carves the wave of infinite possibility into a single outcome, which leads to a powerful truth. To collapse a new reality, you can't simply change what you look at. You must change how you're looking and from where you're looking. Joe Dispenza points out that when your attention is rooted in survival, in fight, flight, control, or scarcity, your focus narrows. You scan for threats. You seek certainty, and the loop repeats. In reverse, most people were programmed into fear, shame, guilt, and limitation without even knowing it. They were caught in loops, reinforced unconsciously by emotional patterns. But what if you could reverse engineer that? What if you could deliberately charge your body with elevated states, not fake joy or toxic positivity, but real embodied gratitude, heightened presence, and a deep sense of enoughness? You'd be rewriting the field, not with force, but with coherence. Because coherence is the secret language of the quantum field. And incoherence, even if dressed as hustle, grind, or mindset, is still a repellent signal. So what's the next step? In the next chapter, we'll go deeper into the observer effect, how your very attention determines what manifests, and how observing through the lens of old trauma keeps collapsing the same version of reality. But what if there were a way to observe differently? To tune your attention like a laser and collapse new potential into form? It's not only possible, it's scientific. What you observe becomes real, not because reality is waiting for you to notice it, but because observation is participatory. Your gaze doesn't just register the world, it builds it. This isn't spiritual poetry. This is quantum physics. According to the observer effect, particles, the very building blocks of everything, exist as probabilities until someone observes them. The moment they're observed, they collapse into a fixed state. Now, apply that to your life. Every morning, you wake up and look at your world, and you observe it through thought, emotion, expectation. You collapse it into a pattern. Then you wonder why nothing changes. Here's the real trap. You're not just observing the world. You're observing it through a lens. And that lens was built long before you even knew you were holding it. Your attention is like a spotlight. Wherever it falls, energy flows, but it's never neutral. Every glance, every thought carries the frequency of the observer. If you look at your bank account through scarcity, you aren't just noticing low numbers. You're feeding the field with scarcity. That frequency reinforces the same collapse. You're not simply seeing what is, you're projecting what has been. Every fear-charged glance, every worry-soaked thought, Every doubtful analysis acts like a quantum command. More of this, please. Pause here. This is subtle and dangerous. The reason change feels impossible isn't laziness, brokenness, or lack of discipline. It's a feedback loop. Your inner state shapes perception, and perception reinforces your inner state. It's a quantum echo chamber. You feel insecure, so you notice rejection. You feel unworthy, so belittling situations appear. You expect delay, so time stretches where it shouldn't. The cruel twist. Each of these observations feels like evidence, but the evidence exists only because of the frequency you're collapsing into form. This is the observer trap, and it runs deeper than most people think. Your attention is stolen every single day, hijacked by unresolved trauma, cultural programming, digital noise, and internal narratives that no longer belong to you. Every time you try to focus, something pulls you back into the familiar loop. Your nervous system resists new frequencies, not because they're wrong, but because they're unknown. And to the survival brain, the unknown feels like death. This is why you can visualize something new and still collapse something old. Because attention might be forward, but frequency is still backward. Think of it like this. You're a painter. Each morning, you arrive at your canvas with fresh brushes, new colors, and a vision of something breathtaking. But there's a fogged glass between you and the canvas. Unseen, your hands trace the same old outlines, day after day, because that's all you can see. The fog is your subconscious. The outline is your vibrational history. And the painting? That's your life stuck in repetition. Here's the key insight. Your attention is not just a spotlight, it's a scalpel. Where you place it and how, you literally carves the wave of infinite probability into one finite result. Which leads to a powerful truth. If you want to collapse a new reality, you can't just change what you look at. You have to change how you're looking, and from where you're looking. Joe Dispenza teaches that when your attention is rooted in survival, in the lower centers of fight, flight, control, and predict, your focus becomes narrow. You scan for threats. You seek certainty. Most people don't realize how early they were conditioned into fear, shame, guilt, and limitation. It didn't happen with awareness. It happened through emotional repetition. Little moments that carved patterns into the nervous system. But here's the twist. The same way a pattern is created, it can also be undone. You can charge your body with higher states, real gratitude, real presence, real fullness, without pretending or forcing anything. When you do that, you're not trying to overpower your life. You're bringing it into coherence. And coherence is the language the field understands. Incoherence, no matter how much hustle or mindset you dress it in, still sends out a signal that pushes what you want further away. So where do you go from here? The next step is understanding the role of the observer. Your attention isn't neutral. It shapes what becomes real. If you view your world through the lens of old pain, your reality collapses in the same direction every time. But if you shifted the way you observe, even slightly, you'd begin collapsing something entirely new. Your attention doesn't just witness reality, it participates in building it. Particles exist as probability until someone observes them, and then they snap into form. Apply that to your life. Every morning, you wake up and collapse your world based on your thoughts, your emotions, and your expectations. You repeat the same internal script and wonder why nothing changes. But the real issue isn't the world you're looking at. It's the lens you're using. That lens was shaped long before you knew you had one. Think of your attention like a spotlight. Whatever it shines on becomes energized. But the spotlight carries the emotional tone of the observer. If you observe your life through scarcity, you're not just seeing scarcity, you're feeding it. That vibration becomes a command, and the field mirrors it back. You're not just seeing reality, you're projecting history. Every fear-based thought, every worried reaction, every moment soaked in doubt sends the same signal. More of this. That's the observer trap. You're not stuck because you're weak or undisciplined. You're stuck because your inner state and your perception are feeding each other in a loop you didn't even know you were in. You feel insecure, so you notice rejection. You feel unworthy, so the world reflects it. You expect delay, so everything slows down when you need it quick. Each observation becomes evidence, but the evidence is only showing up because of the frequency you're broadcasting. Your attention is being hijacked constantly. Old trauma, cultural conditioning, digital distraction, inner narratives that don't belong to you anymore. Every time you try to shift, something pulls you back into the familiar. Your nervous system fights the new not because it's wrong, but because it's unfamiliar. The survival brain confuses unfamiliar with unsafe. This is why you can imagine a new future and still collapse an old one. Your attention might be forward, but your frequency is backward. Picture yourself as an artist walking into your studio with a blank canvas. You've got fresh colors, new ideas, and a vision that excites you. But there's a fogged glass over the canvas, and without realizing it, you trace the same outline you traced yesterday. That fog is your subconscious. The outline is your vibrational past, and the canvas becomes a replay, not a creation. Your attention doesn't just highlight reality, it cuts into it. It's the scalpel that carves one possibility out of infinite options. If you want something new, you can't just change what you look at. You have to change who's doing the looking. When your attention is rooted in survival, fear, control, urgency, it narrows. You see only danger and limitation. You collapse the safest, most familiar version of reality, which is usually the version you're trying to escape. But when your attention moves into the heart, into coherence, neutrality, and deep presence, the lens opens. You begin collapsing possibilities you couldn't see before. You attract outcomes you didn't have to force. The field doesn't respond to what you stare at. It responds to what you embody. If you embody lack, you get scarcity. If you embody fear, you get limitation. But if you embody gratitude, the feeling of already having, you match with a different timeline. What you focus on expands, isn't the full truth. What you focus on with emotional alignment manifests. Your job isn't to control what shows up. Your job is to master who you are while observing. Meditation, breathwork, and presence aren't relaxation tools. They're instruments for shifting timelines. They teach your attention to stop collapsing recycled realities and start accessing the unknown. And here's the part most people overlook. The observer isn't your mind. It's not the thinker. It's the awareness underneath the thinking. The quiet witness that has been there your entire life. When you rest in that awareness, even for a moment, your frequency changes. Fear stops controlling the collapse. Alignment takes over. Now imagine this. What would shift if your attention stopped scanning for what could go wrong and started tuning in to what might unfold? What if your gaze became creative instead of reactive? What if you matched the frequency of the version of you who already has the life you want? That's not mysticism, that's physics. And it's the doorway to real change. Because every loop in your life only has power as long as you feed it. It depends on your emotional reaction, your belief in the story, your identification with the pattern. Stop feeding it, and it loses structure. Not in a dramatic moment, but quietly, like a knot loosening on its own. You were never trapped. You were entangled. And entanglement shifts when coherence shifts. Your thoughts and emotions broadcast frequencies. Repeat a frequency long enough, and it becomes a field pattern, the groove. Your awareness is the needle that plays the same song every day. But you're not the needle. You're the hand holding it. When you stop reacting, the needle lifts. The groove weakens. The timeline dissolves. Most people never reach this point because the mind panics. It screams, "Do something!" That panic is the loop trying to survive. Because as long as you keep moving, hustling, fixing, overthinking, you're feeding it. Let me give you a real example. There was a man who tried everything to shift his reality. Meditation, journaling, affirmations, visualizations. Nothing worked. Then one night, during a panic attack, he did the opposite of what he'd always done. He didn't fight it. He didn't run. He sat still and allowed the energy to move without resisting. In that stillness, he stopped feeding the loop. What came next wasn't dramatic. It was silence, then clarity. And the next day, a single unexpected call changed everything. Not because he forced a new timeline, but because he stopped energizing the old one. When the emotional signal dies, the timeline dies with it. Joe Dispenza teaches that elevated emotions, gratitude, love, inspiration, collapse higher-order possibilities. But you can't reach those states while clinging to a lower-frequency loop. You have to let it decompose. And decomposition requires silence, stillness, and the willingness to not feed what feels familiar. So how do you do it in practice? Start by noticing what triggers you into the loop. The person, the memory, the thought, the fear. Then pause. Drop into your body. Feel the emotion fully. And instead of reacting, breathe. Let it rise without a story, without a fix, without trying to change it. What happens next is subtle but profound. The emotion loses its story. The story loses its charge. The charge loses its coherence. Suddenly, you're no longer vibrating in alignment with that timeline. It's like changing the channel on an old radio. You don't destroy the station. You just stop tuning in. And your reality, being a vibrational mirror, has no choice but to reflect the new signal. Here's a metaphor. Imagine feeding a wolf at the edge of a forest every day. The wolf grows strong, dominant, predictable. One day, you stop feeding it. It howls, it scratches, it comes back, but you offer nothing. After a few days, the wolf doesn't die. It wanders, fades into the trees. It stops dictating your path. Your loop is that wolf. Your energy is the food. The paradox is beautiful. You don't need to know which timeline you're shifting into. You just have to stop feeding the one you're entangled with. The quantum field doesn't need you to figure it out. It only needs you to become available, to empty the old signal so the new can enter. But here's where most people give up. The silence between loops feels like death. That void, the space where the old fades but the new hasn't arrived, is terrifying to the ego. So we rush back to the familiar. We feed the loop one more time just to feel something. But that's not you anymore. You've seen the pattern, you know the cost. So right now, let's create a shift, not just in information, but in frequency. Type in the comments. I bring my energy to a new timeline. Let it be your signal. Let it echo into the field. Let it mark the moment the loop begins to unravel. In the next chapter, we go beyond neutrality. We step into intentional coherence. We stop being reactive observers and become living transmitters. You are not here to observe the new timeline. You are here to become it. Most people think the universe is listening, that the field is some cosmic Amazon waiting to deliver their desires. But it's not. The field doesn't respond to requests. It doesn't decode words. It mirrors what you are. If you are the signal, not the receiver, not the antenna, not the speaker, but the broadcast, then every outcome, every synchronicity, every closed door or alignment is about resonance, not destiny. Here's what most manifestation teachings don't tell you. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you're coherent with. And coherence, vibrational, emotional, energetic, isn't something you fake. It's something you live. Everything vibrates. Atoms, cells, thoughts, emotions. But vibration alone isn't enough. Coherence, the alignment of all those vibrations, is what creates powerful, stable energy fields. Think of a laser. It's not just light. It's focused, coherent light. That focus lets it cut through steel. Your consciousness works the same way. When your heart and brain are in coherence, when your thoughts, emotions, and body are aligned, you become a potent, magnetic, laser-like signal. You're no longer just a person with intentions. You're a walking tower of vibrational clarity. The field cannot help but respond. You can't reach coherence by accident. You reach it by embodiment. By becoming the version of you who already lives what you desire, not someday, but now. Speak like them, walk like them, feel like them. Make decisions from their state of being, even if evidence hasn't caught up yet. The field works on instruction, not proof. Want abundance? Become the frequency of sufficiency through breath, posture, and gratitude that vibrates in your cells, not just your mind. Want love? Become the frequency of being already loved. Secure, grounded, emanating it naturally. Want freedom? Move as if it's your birthright, encoded in every step. The quantum truth. The field is a mirror. Mirrors don't argue. They reflect whatever is in front of them. If you hold back, waiting for proof, you collapse the wrong wave. You reinforce lack, delay, and limitation. But when you collapse time, become the frequency first. Time obeys. Reality bends. People, opportunities, doors appear without plan or effort. Not luck, coherence. Imagine tuning a radio. Each frequency band has a different song. You want jazz. You beg for jazz. You visualize saxophones. But unless you dial into 103.7, you hear static or the wrong station. Your frequency is the dial. Your alignment is the tuning. The field reflects exactly what you've tuned into.